Successful people have a secret they rarely share publicly. It's not their morning routine, investment strategy, or network. Their advantage is much simpler and more powerful. They've mastered the conversation no one else hears. While most people allow their internal dialogue to run on autopilot, repeating toxic patterns that sabotage their efforts. The truly successful have reprogrammed this inner voice. They've turned their most important relationship, the one with themselves, into their greatest asset. The words you speak to yourself are more important than any words anyone will ever speak to you. That statement might sound simple, but it contains within it the most powerful truth you will ever discover about your life. Your inner dialogue, that constant stream of thoughts, judgments, and statements you make to yourself from the moment you wake until you fall asleep is shaping your destiny with more precision than any external force ever could. What did you say to yourself when you looked in the mirror this morning? What were the first words that formed in your mind when you opened your eyes today? Were they words of gratitude or complaint, hope or despair, possibility or limitation? Every single day, you speak approximately 16.0000 words aloud to others. But do you know how many words you speak to yourself? Scientists estimate that we have between 12.0000 and 60.000 thoughts per day, most of which are repeated from the previous day. And the majority of these thoughts, for most people, are negative. Think about that. The person you speak to most in this world is yourself. And what are you saying? I'm too old for this. I don't have what it takes. Things never work out for me. I'll never have enough money. I'm not smart enough. People like me don't succeed. If someone else spoke to you that way, would you keep them in your life? Would you invite them into your home every morning to remind you of your limitations? Would you give them free access to your mind day and night? Of course not. Yet we do this to ourselves without even realizing the damage we're causing. Today, I want to challenge everything you've been telling yourself. I want to disrupt the negative patterns that have been programmed into your subconscious mind. And I want to give you a 7-day prescription that will begin to transform your life if you apply it with diligence and faith. The truth is, most people fail not because they lack ability, resources, or opportunity. Most people fail because they have been speaking failure over their lives for so long that failure has become their identity. They have convinced themselves of their limitations so thoroughly that they never even attempt to break through them. Your life today is the sum total of what you've been saying to yourself up until this moment. Your bank account balance reflects what you've been saying about money. Your relationships reflect what you've been saying about love. Your health reflects what you've been saying about your body. Your career reflects what you've been saying about your talents and abilities. But here's the extraordinary news. If your words have created your current reality, then new words can create a new reality. 3,000 years ago, it was written, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. That ancient wisdom has been confirmed by modern science. Neuroplasticity research shows that our brains physically change in response to our thoughts and words. New neural pathways form. Old ones fade away. Our very biology responds to the stories we tell ourselves. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how differently you perform when you're confident versus when you're doubtful? How differently you carry yourself when you feel capable versus when you feel inadequate? That's because your performance always rises or falls to meet your self-talk. You will never outperform your inner dialogue. Never. I once coached a young entrepreneur who had remarkable ideas but could never seem to bring them to fruition. When we examined her thought patterns, we discovered that every time she began making progress, a voice in her head would whisper, "Who do you think you are? You'll embarrass yourself. This won't work." Those words were not her own. They belonged to a teacher who had humiliated her in front of her classmates years earlier. But she had internalized them, made them her own, and allowed them to become the ceiling of her potential. For 7 days, I had her replace those words with a new script. I am more than capable. My ideas are valuable. I have what it takes to succeed. At first, it felt foreign to her, like she was speaking someone else's lines. But gradually, those words began to feel true. And her actions began to align with this new truth she was speaking over herself. Within 6 months, she had launched her business and secured her first major client. Nothing about her abilities had changed. She had always been capable. What changed were the words she spoke to herself, which changed her actions, which changed her results. Your mind is like soil. The words you speak are like seeds. Whatever you plant will eventually grow. If you plant words of doubt, a limitation, you will harvest a life of scarcity and constraint. If you plant words of faith, courage, and possibility, you will harvest a life of abundance and achievement. So many of us wonder why we keep experiencing the same frustrations, the same disappointments, the same limitations year after year. It's because we keep planting the same seeds. We keep speaking the same words over our lives and then act surprised when the harvest doesn't change. For the next 7 days, I want you to become intensely conscious of what you're saying to yourself. I want you to monitor your inner dialogue with the vigilance of a security guard watching over precious treasure. Because that's exactly what your mind is. A precious treasure that must be protected. When you catch yourself speaking words of defeat, replace them immediately with words of victory. When you catch yourself speaking lack, replace those words with abundance. When you catch yourself speaking fear, replace those words with faith. This isn't about denying reality or pretending problems don't exist. This is about choosing which reality you want to create. Because while you cannot always control what happens to you, you absolutely can control how you interpret what happens and the meaning you assign to it. There was once a community devastated by an economic collapse. 2 individuals lost their jobs on the same day. The first one told himself, "This is the worst thing that could have happened. I'm too old to start over. No one will hire me." He spent his days watching television, complaining to anyone who would listen, and gradually sinking into depression. The second person told himself, "This is an opportunity to reinvent myself. I've always wanted to start my own business. Now I have the time to do it." He spent his days learning new skills, in networking, and developing a business plan. Within a year, he had created a thriving enterprise that employed 5 people from his community. Same external circumstance. Dramatically different self-talk. Dramatically different outcomes. What would happen in your life if, for just 7 days, you spoke to yourself like someone who believed in your potential? Like someone who knew with absolute certainty that you were destined for greatness. I'm not talking about arrogance or delusion. I'm talking about aligning your words with the truth of who you were created to be. A person of purpose, power, and unlimited potential. Most of us have been conditioned to focus on what's wrong with us. From early childhood, we were corrected far more often than we were praised. We were told what needed fixing rather than what was already working well. And we internalized this pattern, becoming our own harshest critics. But what if? for 7 days. You became your own greatest advocate. What if you spoke to yourself with the encouragement and faith that you so freely give to others? Think about it when a friend is struggling. What do you say? Do you remind them of all their past failures and tell them they'll probably fail again? Of course not. You encourage them. You remind them of their strengths. You express confidence in their ability to overcome. Yet when we face our own challenges, we often do the opposite. We berate ourselves. We dredge up past mistakes as evidence that we'll fail again. We speak words that demoralize rather than energize. Starting today, I want you to treat yourself with the same kindness and encouragement you would offer a beloved friend or family member. I want you to become your own greatest supporter, your own most reliable source of strength. For the next 7 days, I want you to begin each morning by speaking 7 specific truths over your life. These aren't affirmations, they're declarations of truth that will begin to rewire your neural pathways and reprogram your subconscious mind. Truth 1, I am created for a unique purpose that only I can fulfill. Every morning, remind yourself that you are not an accident. You are not random. You exist because there is something specific you are meant to contribute to this world. Your fingerprints are unique. Your DNA is unique. Your perspective and combination of talents are unique. Speak this truth until you believe it at the core of your being. Truth 2, I have everything I need to succeed. Many of us are waiting for something external to change before we can move forward. More money, more time, more connections, more education. But the truth is, success doesn't come from having everything you want. It comes from using everything you have. Speak this truth until you stop making excuses and start making progress. Truth 3, my past does not determine my future. We all have chapters in our story that we wish we could rewrite. Mistakes, failures, wrong turns. But those chapters don't have to define the rest of your story. Every day is a fresh page. Every moment is a new opportunity to move in a different direction. Speak this truth until your past loses its power over your present. Truth 4, I am stronger than my challenges. The obstacles you face aren't there to defeat you. They're there to develop you. Every challenge contains within it an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Speak this truth until you stop seeing problems as punishment and start seeing them as preparation. Truth 5, I am surrounded by abundance. In a world that constantly tells us we don't have enough, we must remind ourselves that we live in a universe of unlimited resources and possibilities. There is enough success for everyone. There are enough opportunities, enough resources, enough blessings to go around. Speak this truth until your mind expands beyond the paradigm of scarcity. Truth 6, I am worthy of greatness. So many of us subconsciously believe we don't deserve success, abundance, or recognition. We sabotage ourselves just as we're about to break through. But you were not created for mediocrity. You were created for excellence. Speak this truth until your actions align with your true value. Truth 7, every day, in every way. I am getting better. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about direction. As long as you're moving forward, even by small increments, you're succeeding. Celebrate your growth. Acknowledge your progress. Speak this truth until your focus shifts from how far you have to go to how far you've already come. These 7 truths, spoken consistently for 7 days, will begin to transform your subconscious beliefs, which will transform your actions, which will transform your results. But you must speak them with conviction. You must speak them as if your life depends on them, because it does. The quality of your life absolutely depends on the quality of the words you speak to yourself. Don't just mumble these truths while your mind is elsewhere. Stand in front of a mirror. Look yourself in the eye. Speak with authority. Feel the truth of these words resonating in your spirit. Let them sink from your conscious mind into your subconscious, where they can begin to work their transformative power. And don't just speak these truths in the morning and then revert to negative self-talk for the rest of the day. Carry them with you. Write them on cards that you can keep in your pocket or purse. Set reminders on your phone. When you feel yourself slipping into old patterns of negative self-talk, pull out these truths and speak them again. Your transformation begins today. Your new life begins now. With new words, with new thoughts, with a new vision of who you truly are and what you're truly capable of achieving. Speak it until you see it. Declare it until you become it. Your words create your world. Choose them wisely. The human mind is designed to solve whatever problems you present to it. When you ask yourself disempowering questions like, why does this always happen to me? Or why can't I ever get ahead? Your mind will diligently search for answers to those questions. And it will find them. It will readily supply you with evidence of why you're stuck, why you're failing, why you're not enough. But what if you started asking different questions? What if? Instead of why can't I? You asked how can I? Instead of what's wrong with me. You ask what's right with me. Instead of why is this happening to me? You ask what can I learn from this? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you habitually ask yourself. For the next 7 days, I want you to become intensely conscious of the questions you're asking and to deliberately replace disempowering questions with empowering ones. When you wake up in the morning, instead of how will I get through another day, ask yourself, what opportunities will today bring for me to grow and contribute? Instead of why am I so tired? Ask how can I energize myself for the day ahead? Throughout the day, when challenges arise, and they will, instead of why is this so hard, ask what strength am I developing through this difficulty? Instead of who can I blame for this problem, ask how can I be part of the solution? Your questions focus your mental energy, and whatever you focus on expands in your consciousness. If you focus on problems, you'll see more problems. If you focus on possibilities, you'll see more possibilities. For 7 days, make a conscious effort to transform your questions. And watch how your perspective shifts. Now, let's talk about your self-image, the internal picture you have of yourself. This self-image was formed over many years. Primarily during childhood, when you were most impressionable. It was shaped by the words spoken to you by parents, teachers, peers, others of influence in your life. If you were fortunate, those words built you up. They affirmed your worth, celebrated your uniqueness, and encouraged your potential. But for many, those formative words did just the opposite. They tore down, they compared, they criticized, they limited. And over time, those external voices became your internal voice. The critical parent became your inner critic. The dismissive teacher became your inner doubter. The mocking peer became your inner mocker. But here's what you must understand. That internal picture is not fixed. It can be redrawn. That internal voice is not immutable. It can be replaced. And the process begins with the words you speak to yourself. Imagine a garden that has been neglected for years. Weeds have taken over. The soil is depleted. Nothing beautiful grows there anymore. That's what happens to our minds when we allow negative self-talk to flourish unchallenged. But a skilled gardener knows that with proper care. Even the most neglected garden can be restored to beauty and productivity. The weeds must be pulled out, one by one. The soil must be enriched. New seeds must be planted and tenderly cared for. That's what these 7 days are about. You're pulling out the weeds of negative self-talk that have choked out your potential. You're enriching the soil of your mind with new, life-giving truths. You're planting seeds that will, in time, yield a harvest of transformed thinking and transformed results. But understand this, just as a garden isn't transformed overnight, your mind will be completely renewed in 7 days. What will happen though is that you'll interrupt patterns that have been in place for years or even decades. You'll begin establishing new neural pathways. You'll start experiencing moments of breakthrough where you catch negative self-talk before it takes root. And those small changes, compounded over time, will lead to dramatic transformation. Many people give up on this process too soon. They speak positively to themselves for a day or two. Don't see immediate results and revert to old patterns. But that's like planting seeds, digging them up the next day to see if they're growing, and then wondering why nothing ever grows in their garden. Seeds need time beneath the surface before they manifest visible growth. In the same way, the seeds of positive self-talk need time to germinate in your subconscious before they produce visible changes in your circumstances. That's why it's 7 days, not 1 or 2. 7 days gives these new patterns time to begin taking root. It gives your subconscious mind time to start accepting these new truths as valid, worthy of belief and action. And after 7 days, don't stop. The real power comes when these 7 days become 7 weeks, 7 months, 7 years of transformed self-talk. That's when you'll look back and barely recognize the person you used to be. With the limited beliefs you used to hold and the constricted life you used to live. External changes without internal transformation are almost always temporary. That's why so many lottery winners end up broke within a few years. That's why so many people who lose weight through crash diets gain it all back. That's why so many relationships that begin with passion end in pain. Lasting transformation begins from within. It begins with the words you speak to yourself about yourself. Let's talk about how your words shape your perception of time. Most people speak about time in ways that create pressure and scarcity. I'm running out of time. There aren't enough hours in the day. I'm always behind. I'll never catch up. This self-talk creates a perpetual state of stress and inadequacy. It makes you feel like you're in a race you can never win, chasing a finish line that keeps moving farther away. For the next 7 days, I want you to transform how you speak to yourself about time. Instead of "I don't have enough time," say "I have exactly the right amount of time for what matters most." Instead of "I'm running behind," say "I'm moving at the perfect pace for my journey." This isn't about denying the reality of deadlines or commitments. It's about shifting from a consciousness of time scarcity to a consciousness of time sufficiency. When you believe you have enough time, you make better decisions about how to use it. You work with greater focus and less anxiety. You become present rather than always rushing to the next moment. Similarly, examine how you speak to yourself about money. Many people's financial self-talk is dominated by statements like "I can't afford that." "There's never enough money." "Money slips through my fingers." "Rich people are just lucky." This kind of self-talk reinforces a mindset of financial scarcity and victimhood. It positions you as passive and powerless in relation to money for the next 7 days. Transform your financial self-talk. Instead of, I can't afford that, say that's not a priority for me right now, or I'm choosing to direct my resources elsewhere. Instead of there's never enough money, say I'm learning to create more value, which will increase my income. Now, consider how you speak to yourself about your body and health. For many, this self-talk is particularly harsh. I hate how I look. I'm so fat, skinny, weak, ugly. My body is falling apart. I'll never be healthy. For 7 days, speak to your body with respect and appreciation. Instead of criticizing what you don't like, appreciate what works well. My body allows me to experience this beautiful world. I'm grateful for my strength and mobility. My body is always working toward health and balance, even when I'm not conscious of it. Examine also how you speak to yourself about relationships. Common negative self-talk includes, no one really cares about me. I always end up alone. People just use me and then leave. I'm not lovable enough. For 7 days. Transform your relationship self-talk. I am worthy of loving. Respectful relationships. As I become more authentic, I attract more authentic connections. Each relationship brings valuable lessons that prepare me for deeper connections. Finally, look at how you speak to yourself about your purpose and contribution. Many people's self-talk is filled with doubt. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't have anything special to offer. It's too late for me to make a difference. Who am I to think I could do something significant? For 7 days. Speak to yourself about your purpose with conviction. I have a unique contribution that only I can make. Every experience in my life has prepared me for my purpose. It's never too late to make a meaningful difference. These words, spoken consistently, will begin to reshape your reality. Your time will feel more abundant. Your financial situation will begin to shift. Your health will improve. Your relationships will deepen. Your sense of purpose will clarify. All because you chose to speak differently to the most important person in your life, yourself. Your words have power not just over your mind, but over your physical body. Medical science has documented the placebo effect, where people experience real physiological changes simply because they believe they've received effective treatment. This demonstrates the profound connection between your thoughts, words, and physical reality. When you wake up feeling unwell and tell yourself, I'm sick, I'm exhausted, I can't function today, you're not just describing your condition, you're instructing your body to align with those words. Instead, try saying, I'm getting stronger every hour. My body knows how to heal itself. I have the energy I need for what matters most today. This isn't magical thinking. It's aligning your self-talk with your body's natural healing abilities rather than amplifying your discomfort through negative declarations. The words you speak to yourself also determine the boundaries you set in life. When you tell yourself, I have to say yes. I can't disappoint others. All my needs don't matter. You establish a pattern of boundary violation that leads to burnout, resentment, and diminished effectiveness for 7 days. Transform this self-talk. I choose what deserves my time and energy. My boundaries protect my purpose. When I honor my limits, I serve others from fullness, not depletion. Your self-talk even influences how you perceive challenges and failures. When facing difficulties, many automatically say, this always happens to me. I knew this wouldn't work. Or I should just give up. These statements transform temporary setbacks into permanent defeat. Instead, For 7 days. Say, this challenge is developing qualities in me that success cannot. Failure is data, not defeat. Every no brings me closer to my yes. I persist until I succeed. Your words also dictate your resistance or openness to growth. When presented with feedback or new information, do you tell yourself, I already know this. That wouldn't work for me. Or they don't understand my situation. These statements close you off from the very insights that could transform your circumstances. For 7 days. Say instead, I remain teachable regardless of my experience level. Every person I meet knows something I need to learn. Feedback is a gift that helps me grow. Words even impact how you experience joy and fulfillment. Many people diminish their own happiness with statements like, this won't last. I don't deserve this. Or something will go wrong soon. This self-talk creates anxiety in moments that should bring pure enjoyment. For 7 days. Replace these with, I am fully present in this moment of joy. I deserve good things. I receive blessings with gratitude and expectation of more to come. Remember, the goal isn't to deny reality, but to interpret it in ways that empower rather than diminish you. It's about speaking to yourself with the wisdom of a mentor, the compassion of a friend, and the conviction of someone who truly believes in your potential. These 7 days are your opportunity to establish new patterns. With consistent practice, these empowering statements will become your default self-talk. They'll arise automatically in response to challenges. They'll shape your perceptions, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. Your transformation isn't just about you. As you begin speaking life to yourself, you'll naturally begin speaking life to others. Your changed self-talk will change how you talk to your family, your friends, colleagues, and even strangers. The impact will ripple outward in ways you cannot yet imagine. What you speak to yourself in private ultimately manifests in public. Your words create neural pathways that determine your behavior. And your behavior creates the results you see in your life. For these 7 days, I challenge you to speak greatness over yourself even when circumstances contradict your words. Speak abundance even in seasons of lack. Speak strength even in moments of weakness. Speak purpose even in periods of confusion. Not as denial, but as declaration of what you are becoming rather than what you currently see. Remember that transformation rarely happens overnight. It occurs gradually, almost imperceptibly, until one day you realize you've become someone new, someone stronger, wiser, more purposeful than you once were. Let's start with these 7 days. Be vigilant about your self-talk. Catch the negative words before they take root. Replace them consistently with words of life and power. Then extend it to 7 more days. And 7 more after that. Until speaking life becomes as natural as breathing. Your words are seeds. Plant them intentionally. Water them consistently. And in time, you will harvest exactly what you've spoken over yourself. Your new life is waiting. And it begins with the next words you speak to yourself. What will they be?